my God, hey.
Welcome back, everyone. This is GaysideStories, where the gay shit goes. I am your host, Trilificent. Thank you to everyone that is listening, new and old, for joining me for another week. Remember to use the hashtag GaysidePod when you are live tweeting or posting about the show on Facebook or Instagram. I appreciate everyone that does. And this week I have another guest, and I'm actually going to let him introduce himself. I mean, I usually do that anyway, so guest, have at it.
What's going on, everybody? This is the one and only Baby Huey from Aquemini Jamz and Boys Love Beyonce and some other stuff that's coming soon. What's good?
Come on, coming soon. Come on, radio voice. So before we move on, why don't you tell my listeners a little bit about Aquemini Jamz and Boys Love Beyonce?
Aquemini Jamz, me and my cousin DJ Imperial, we started that about 2 years ago. Started out as a podcast, just music and pop culture. She's a DJ, clearly from her name, DJ Imperial. No, because some people actually do have DJ somebody, and it's like,
oh yes,
what's a turntable? You don't know.
Oh yes, we know.
Bless it. But no, just growing up, all we talked about was music all the time. And we always had the black beats and the right on and all that shit, and going to Target to get CDs and all that. So she started DJing. I'm like, we should start doing a show. Like, why not? So we started doing that. And one of the stations here, online station here in DC, in the DMV, called Listen Vision, they found the show somehow and asked us, well, if we wanted to be on the station. We was like, sure. So now you can catch us there every Saturday at 12 on listenvisionlive.com. And we just have a good time. A lot of music, a lot of jokes, a lot of pop culture commentary. We try to be as non-problematic and offensive as possible. We like teeter the lines of like 106 and Park and Entertainment Tonight, you know, very as clean as possible.
Yeah, I get it.
Because like if I say something too messy, or if she says it, like both of us get real nervous and anxious, like, oh my gosh, maybe we shouldn't have said that. Oh my gosh, maybe that was too rude, that was too mean. So we just try to keep it chill, but still have a good time. So that's that. Boys Love Beyonce just started that with the homie Charnel from What About Your Friends and Do Tell True Crime Podcast, and I think he has another one coming up soon. I can't keep track because this nigga's busy.
Yes,
but
he works.
Listen, we just started that one not too long ago, and it's pretty much just us standing over Beyonce for an hour, and it's very therapeutic for me. And it's just a good ass time, and we're still building that and figuring out what we want to change and how we want to do stuff different. So it's going to be dope to see how the show evolves over time, and I hope y'all niggas like it and we can end up on like a tall screen.
Right, especially when I'm looking forward to when she does something, or actually, because Coachella is this coming weekend, or I guess by the time timey-wimey, shout out to Wizard Team. By the time you guys hear this, I guess it would have already happened. Yeah. But Beyonce's Coachella set is coming up and it's supposed to be streaming on YouTube. So,
and I will be present.
Absolutely, I'm sure you guys.
And under influences.
I mean, is there any other way to? You can enjoy Beyonce regularly, but under quote unquote the influences, it just adds a little something extra.
Yeah, as long as you remember.
A little something
as long
extra.
As you remember. And it's gonna be on YouTube, so I'm gonna be able to watch it again sober if I need to. Exactly. So it's all good.
Exactly.
It's all good. But I'm ready, but I'm not. I just don't know what she's gonna do, of course.
Because it is Beyonce. Knowing Beyonce, they'll stream it on YouTube and then it won't be available like a regular YouTube video. You know, she crafty.
Hey,
So
make that shit a title exclusive because I got that too. But I've been
that
trying to
too.
call Blue Ivy, let her know, okay, how many edges do you need? Like, what
Oh.
length? How many inches? Just let me know. She won't return my calls or texts.
She's gonna be like, I mean, I don't know why you asking. You should
I'm just trying
already
to. I
know.
want to get it in order now. You know, I'm trying to just make sure that she gets it ahead of time. Like, I would rather her get this shit on Friday than have to wait over the weekend. You know, just.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I'm pretty sure she has things to do with my edges, so.
I feel like her standard fee is all edges, and that's what it is. She's like, I don't even want to entertain you asking me. You already know what it is. Anyway,
Like, can I keep a little bit? Can we do like a hair graph? Like maybe 2 or 3 in my locks.
she's like, this is Beyonce, okay? This is not anybody else. This is not any. You know what it is. Pay what you owe.
I knew her before you did.
She's like, I don't give a damn.
I was supporting her before you was even here. How y'all gonna treat me like this?
I don't give a damn.
That's it.
All right, you guys, let's stand out enough. So I will have links in the show notes to both of those shows.
Yay.
And let's move it along. So the School and Life segment.
Hey, needs a degree when you're schooling life.
Hey.
That's actually my alarm on my phone. Every morning, Monday through Friday. That's what wakes me up.
Look at you being inspirational. Oh,
yeah,
inspiration, motivation.
I have to take a picture in order to disable my alarm.
Oh, see, that's too much.
And it's a picture of my toothbrush.
Too much.
So I have to actually get out of bed. And I have my snooze set to 1 minute.
Too much.
No, I have a hard time getting out of bed. It feels so good.
I understand.
Like,
but I feel like that would irritate me because I've seen apps like that, but I'm like that would irritate me. Like you want a picture, you want all like, bitch, I'm half asleep. Leave me alone. Anyway, so quick reminder, you guys: the School and Life is just a quick little something that help you get through the week. It could be something that happened during the week or something that you're looking forward to. So my School and Life this week is I think it's apropos for the season, and it's just cleaning. Like I've been in spring cleaning mode, and there's just something about a clean home that will really have you feeling like you can do all things.
Facts.
And in my case, I had a lot of cleaning to do from when I was sick, and I just couldn't do much. You know, I had a lot of stuff to throw away, and I didn't have the strength of the Black Panther to be able to do what I would normally do. So I've been down to the nitty gritty. I'm vacuuming and rubbing and polishing and spraying, and I've just been doing a lot. But it feels so good to come home to a clean house
every time.
Like you walk in and you like, shit, I live here. Even if it's a rinky dink apartment, when it's clean, you feel like you walking into a fucking mansion, like you walking into the rich.
Yeah.
Like everything is in its place. What?
Mm-hmm.
This is my kind of carrying on. Now, granted, it takes a lot to get to that point, and I still have some to do, but the main spaces are just like it just feels good, especially like I said, having gone so long and my apartment looked like it needed to be condemned. I think I talked about it on the show when I was talking about when I got out of the hospital, but I was like, my apartment was so dirty. I was embarrassed that Nikki had to come over here and take care of Nigga Cat. And I was like,
not Nigga Cat.
I was like, under no circumstances are you to go into the bathroom, because that shit is a disaster.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was really bad. But, you know, I guess that's a testament to how sick I was. And I wasn't really putting any energy into keeping shit up. And, I mean, had so much energy. So, but anyway, that's my schooling life. It feels good, and 'tis the season to break out that broom
Listen, that vacuum, that Swiffer duster.
Everything. I will say, word of caution: watch your back, because when you get to cleaning, you get to stooping, and you get to bending, and your back is like. So let me tell you something about the things that you are doing. And my back was toe up. I mean, granted, it probably because I've been clucking around like a bird to Bickenhead all week.
Hey, go up, get some chicken. Go up. That's my shit.
My back was like, you are a gay of a certain age, so we're just going to remind you. And I was like, my back. Oh, I had to break out the ibuprofen. Anyway, so baby Huey, what is your schooling life for this week?
My schooling life, I have two. Number one, my last day at my bar was yesterday. As of recording, so Tuesday, yesterday. Mm-hmm. So my life just got freed up a little bit. It's going to be some financial difficulties, definitely, but I want to have more free time, more time to put into my shows, more time to get adequate sleep, more time to work out like I've been wanting to, more time to get more sleep. Can't say that enough. And just to go back to having a life, because I miss having a life. I miss going out with my friends. So that was exciting. So today's my first day of only having one job for a little while, and I'm getting a part-time that's going to be very flexible with scheduling. So everything should work out. I'm excited. The other thing was, since you brought up the Black Panther, me and my grandmother actually had like a 45-minute to an hour discussion of us just standing over Black Panther.
That's real.
And I never thought in my life that I would be on the phone with my grandmother, rolling the blunt, and standing over a superhero comic book movie.
That sounds ideal.
Like never. And to hear her talk about the women in that movie and how much it meant for her to see that at her age. She's like in her 70s, I think. So she's not like super duper old.
Yeah.
But she up there. But just to see that like older generations are impacted by this shit, like it's phenomenal. I had to explain to her that how the Avengers work. She still didn't quite get it, but she said she is going to go see the Avengers only because the women are going to be in it, and that she's happy that he's bringing them with him because he can't fight.
If we're telling the absolute truth, his hands could use some improvement. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. But again, I said this when I talked about Black Panther on my show. Some of that was just him being nice.
Yeah,
like it's more particular his fight with Killmonger, because he had two opportunities where he could have ended that fight and he didn't.
Yeah,
and then Killmonger, he went supersonic, hypersonic. He went Super Mario with the fire hat and just demolished him. But it's like you had. I counted two distinct opportunities where you could have deaded that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like you didn't want to kill him, but in the throne room you was talking shit about I'd kill you right now. And I'm like, so what is
you were supposed to actually kill the motherfucker?
Right.
You just did it.
You gave him mercy, and like, so what is the truth? Anyway,
but no, it was amazing to experience that.
I can imagine. I can only imagine, because
And then like she's one of those older Black people who aren't too fond of Africans.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I'll be having to get on her. So I was like, I'm impressed that you watched it, and I'm assuming you were well behaved through it all because it was a movie just pretty much with mostly African characters. And she was like, well, what do you mean? I behave. I just hate when they say that, that they're so much better than African Americans and that we're not. I'm just like, you're doing it again. Like,
right. You're doing it again.
Let's go back to how much you like the movie.
Yeah. Concentrate
but
on
yeah, That was an amazing conversation.
That sounds good. And shout out to you, repping for all the grandmotherless, myself included.
My apologies.
It sounds good. No. I mean, life gone life. But it's good to hear stories like that. So, we're going to move on to the Come Quick segment.
I'm gonna come, sir.
Oh yeah!
And again, because this is kind of a timey-wimey episode, I don't have too much. But I did want to touch on the Sabrina Claudio controversy. So, I'm not too familiar with Sabrina Claudio. Like, I listened to her last, not the current thing, whatever she has out, but something before that I listened to, and I can't say I didn't not enjoy it, but I guess it didn't capture me because I don't remember anything from it. Like, it's probably something that I could listen to, but it's not something that I would seek out. But I get it, people love her, they go up for her, and then there are people like me, and then there are people who don't like her. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, I liked her voice. My old bartender, like when I would be leaving and she would be coming in, she would start playing her music. And she would play Sabrina Claudio, so that's how I got introduced to her. I was like, oh, I like her voice is cute, but I never fully like invested time into listening to any of her stuff.
Right.
But I'm like, oh, she's cute, I guess.
Yeah. So she admitted to being behind the racist troll account at Oh Damn You're Ugly, and of course, your is spelled YOUR, but that's neither here nor there.
You can own the ugly?
I guess. Evidently. I mean, she does, ugly in words and spirit. So
in common fucking sense.
Yeah. So this was a racist troll account. It uses the N-word, and it basically went at women of color, and more in particular black women. And apparently Sabrina Claudio likes black men, so I was kind of like, oh, okay, so we're doing this again. And that was in the past. I don't think that account had been used in a while. It might even have been deleted. I'm not sure. But she also made a comment pretty recently on Instagram in which she allegedly referred to a fan as a sweaty chonga.
The who?
Yeah. Like, it was in the comments. The screenshots, of course, are all over Twitter. And
a sweaty what?
Chonga.
What is that?
I'm not sure. I guess it's a slur. Or chonga. I guess it's a slur. Because they were like, oh, bitch, you tried it. Let's look it up real quick.
Working class, sexualized, aggressive, and emotionally expressive young woman. So a hoe.
Right. A sweaty one at that. Wow. Just rude. Anyway, like, that's in her Instagram comments with her name, Sabrina Claudio. Like, this is not no other account or whatever the case may be. So, of course, now that all has come out.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
From Latina.com, Tonga connotates unacceptance of Latinas who resist to fully assimilate into U.S. culture, categorizes them as problem starters, and thus opens them up for both othering and ridicule that, while originating in Latinos communities, extends outwards.
So disrespectful no matter how you look at it.
So I think it's like the Spanish version of bitch.
Yeah. Well, maybe a little worse. Because I don't know. I don't know how they use it in Spanish-speaking countries, but either way, it was rude.
Let us know, please, nicely and respectfully, because we mean no harm or disrespect to anybody with our ignorance.
Yeah.
Oop.
I mean, obviously it's not a word that I've ever used because I have never heard. I feel like I've heard it, but I haven't heard it in so long. I thought
it was like a character. I thought it was like Babadoo Soul Brother or something. I don't know.
That would have been better. But anyway, so of course the internet got a hold of this, and I read something that people were like calling Apple and wanting refunds for the music that they purchased from her. It's serious. Like, I've never heard of that before. I like, oh, y'all are big mad. So she issued an apology, and I'm gonna read it. It says, I am deeply sorry for the insensitive words I've used. And this was on Twitter. Some of the things you are seeing are true while others aren't. I realize my past ignorance is affecting people I care so much about, and I am so sorry. I've made mistakes, and while I cannot take them back, I will learn from them. So this is a pretty standard issue apology. I'm not saying that it's insincere. I'm just saying that this is pretty copy and paste. And the thing that really throws a monkey wrench in this is that Instagram comment is so recent. It's not like you could say, okay, the Twitter stuff that was years ago, that was in 2015 or 2016, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things is not that long ago. But I get it. People can change and grow, but you still on Instagram calling people out of their name. So it's kind of like, are you apologizing and you actually learn? Or is it that you got a whole bunch of people's heels on your neck because they are literally trying to get their money back from Apple for your music? Like, that's how much you pissed people off. So I don't know. That you kind of have to take these apologies with a grain of salt, because it's a necessity. It's not like she could not address it. So she had to come out with an apology, but I don't know. It's not like it's not like a. I mean, first of all, I don't even know why she admitted to owning this account, or I feel like that was probably something you could have taken to the grave, like deny. Even if people were like, "Oh, we know it's you," you'd be like, you know, again, deny. But she admitted it, and it's just, and it gets to the point. It's like, I don't like where is all this ignorance coming from? Like, y'all, you can't tell me all these people are so ignorant of the things that they are saying and the weight that they can have. And on top of that, I'm always wondering, I'm like, if you are a musician, you're trying to be a singer or whatever, that means you probably have had that ambition for a while. And I don't know what to make of not having enough common sense to not be wilding on Twitter when you know you're trying to be a celebrity. But
it doesn't make sense to me either. Like, it just makes sense to me to be that hateful and ignorant publicly anyway, because even if you weren't trying to be a musician, that can fuck up your money in general.
Exactly.
You could be working at fucking Walmart and that shit surfacing. You can end up losing your little job as a greeter or whatever.
They are coming for that blue vest. All right, we have
no
seen
more
it.
paper or plastic. No more little smiley yellow face stickers. Do they do those anymore?
I don't frequent Walmart. She's a bit
little
much
stickers?
for me. She's much for me, but
it's always crowded and dusty.
Yeah.
But they be having some deals sometimes. Anyway, it just doesn't make sense to be that stupid and hateful publicly online, knowing that they can have repercussions. So although I can respect the fact that she owned up to it after it surfaced, I feel like the more safe thing to do is to get in front of all of your shit when you start getting famous, to say, hey, I used to be
a piece
a
of
fucked
shit
up individual. Like, let me tell you, racism, whatever, this, that, but I had to grow and I had to learn and I had to get out of that. And now I feel like it's a way to spin that shit so it doesn't hit as hard.
Exactly.
But niggas are dumb. You should have got ahead of that, knowing that it was going to surface, knowing it could surface.
Right. Like, even if you, because I feel like a lot of people at the time when they were doing it, they didn't think anybody would ever see it. But
yeah, I ain't never gonna be shit, girl. You know, I'm gonna be a hoe for the rest of my life,
right? But it's like, if you just look at 2017, which she was an artist before then, I believe. So many people's stories have come out, and so what, you just sitting in the corner like, I hope it ain't me. Like, ooh, I hope they don't pull up them tweets. Like, it's going to happen at some point. So
and
it's
you
like,
did
even
it to yourself.
Right. So even if you never thought that those tweets would see the light of day again after you tweeted them, when you see other people getting their necks yanked because of stuff that they've said, then
Sweetheart, yours is coming soon.
It's probably a good idea to try to get out in front of it. So that was piss poor on her part. And in addition to this, there was a question that I saw post on Facebook. So I'm curious to get your feedback on it. So the post said, Black folks dragging Sabrina for her racist tweets. but still riding with SZA after her homophobic tweet. Both were in the past, and both have quote unquote apologized and have grown. What gives one a pass and gets the other ostracized? So my immediate thought when I saw this, and then I'm gonna let you have it, is two things. Number one, black people tend to be a little bit more forgiving of other black people, and we've seen that time and time again, especially with black men. And the other thing is you have homophobia versus racism. And if we're going to call it a buck, if we're going to call a thing, homophobia is just more acceptable than racism in our community and, you know, kind of in society in general. Like, you can get away with a whole lot of homophobic stuff, a whole lot of transphobic stuff, but as soon as you hit that race, that's when niggas are coming for you. And I honestly think that that's kind of what it was with SZA and Sabrina Claudio. Like, because if you look at it, there was a lot of gays like, oh, we need, you know, caping for SZA. And I mean, there were a lot caping for Sabrina too, but I think just in general. And then the other thing is a lot of what Sabrina did was, it was basically geared directly towards black women. And when you go directly for black women, that's a different kind of backlash. And it seems like it's been growing over the years. Like, black women, they just sick of it, they're not having it, and I'm with them. Like, leave us the fuck alone. Leave them.
What do I have to do to help you out? Because I'm tired for you, my love. Like,
because they don't bother nobody. Like, you coming on Twitter and you hate black women for what? For what? What have they done to you for you to hate them like that and tweet crazy stuff? So those were my thoughts on that. I'm curious what are your thoughts on the SZA versus Sabrina as far as comments being made?
And I'm not trying to be funny or rude or disrespectful, but that question doesn't even deserve a response, for the simple fact that you're comparing apples and oranges. Like, it's two completely different things. And we have to specify that it's not black people that you're talking to in regards to SZA. It's gay black people or queer black people that you're talking to in regards to SZA. Because she didn't offend all black people. She only offended the gay ones.
Exactly. That's why I say homophobia is more acceptable, you know?
Yeah, and although Sabrina Claudia, whatever her name is, she mainly came at black women, she still was saying, like, she was being racist in general too. Am I not mistaken?
I mean, yeah, you can.
There's generally racist and extra racist towards black women,
right,
or women of color. So, like I said, like you said, you can't compare the two. There are definitely strong parallels and overlaps between racism and homophobia. But you can't compare those two instances because one, like you said, is racism. One is homophobia. These two different target groups, although there's overlap there. Like, it was just poorly asked and poorly stated, and I just see no use in even trying to answer it, because it's like there's no answer that makes sense. Because you can't compare the two.
Yeah, I think it's because it's a nuanced conversation, and so the questioning probably should have been a little bit more nuanced. But I get what you're saying, and I mean, I guess my answer was kind of right in what you said. Like, it's just
yours was the same as mine. Mine just was less patient.
Yeah, I was gonna say yours was a little bit more dismissive, and that's fine, and that's fair. That's fine and fair.
Because it's just like Crystal always says, words mean things, and
absolutely,
I'm getting at a point now where, because to me that's just trying to be that's a reach, and you're trying to be messy, and you're trying to make a point that isn't even in existence to be made. So why are you doing? Like, do better. If you want to have a conversation, think about the question that you're asking and the words that you're using and the examples that you're using, because there are plenty of people that they could have used to compare Sabrina Claudia to.
Yeah, I was going
to say. They didn't have to go sit. They could have went with so many other people who have done racist or said racist shit, and black people said, like, you know what, I'm going to have to rock with them still. So
Yeah, I
What
think
the fuck?
the particular thing with that is it was a gay black man asking it, so we can see what he was, where his investment lied. But I agree. I think that it was a little bit of a reach, and it's kind of like, I mean, the SZA thing has been analyzed to death. People are going to support who they want to support, and I think it would have been more succinct to just say, I didn't believe SZA when her apologies came out. I don't believe Sabrina now that hers have come out, or just leave SZA out of it. Or my favorite thing is to not say anything at all, because why? But
because exactly, and a thing with me now, like I'm really trying to move away from this whole call out culture thing, like because it doesn't serve me any purpose.
Call out culture,
yeah, like it really doesn't.
And having to have a response for everything. Like me, I don't know how people do it, because it's exhausting. Like I'm very selective on what I'm going to give my energy to and what I'm going to talk about. I may, if I have some questions or some commentary, I may do it in the iMessage. But as far as putting it on a public platform, I'm very selective on what I'm going to invest in, because it's too much. It's too much. And then you start getting stuff. People start reaching. People start caping. Stands start coming out and putting their cloaks on and lacing up their super boots. And you just, you know.
And it's like, what are you doing? Like, we're supposed to just be here to have fun. Like, I just want to get on Twitter and crack jokes and have a good time and express my love for the things that I love and leave. We don't always have to have these music debates every day. We don't, especially the gay blacks. Oh my gosh, y'all are horrible. Well, we're horrible on Twitter. It's like every day is something else we're arguing about. Like, don't we just come together, like, and just have a good day?
Come together right now.
Do we have to have this whole? I'm sorry.
No, I get it. I've talked about that before. Like, it's every day. Like, every day y'all gonna argue. Every day. And you can see it. It organically goes from just jokes, or it goes from a comment to discussion to jokes to legit anger to attacking people, and it's just, and then it's rinse and repeat.
Don't make no sense.
And it's just like niggas
they get up at 7 a.m. It's like, what do I want to do today? I want to be messy on Twitter. And just get up and randomly tweet some, oh, y'all don't know y'all bodies yet, y'all still fleeting. You know, I'm like, why are you being like stupid? Like, yes, people want to fleet. Just because you think you don't, or feel like you don't have to. I'm sorry, that's another topic.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. Like, just because
just stop being messy and stop getting on social media trying to make points and make yourself seem like you're an authority on something, or just trying to call people out. Like, work on your own stuff.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Let's
all just work on our own stuff.
Let's do that. That's a good way to end the segment. Work on your own. Work on your own shit. Worry about your own pussy. All those different things that mean the same thing. So,
support the artist you gonna support. Let others support the artist they gonna support. And that's it. Because you arguing ain't gonna change shit.
I mean, I don't. Maybe not that simple, because some artists are like very harmful to people, and it's beyond words.
Yeah, I mean,
but
there are the outliers, or are the,
but yes,
you know, the people at the ends of the bell curve. But generally speaking,
so that's going to wrap up the Come Quick segment, and we're going to move on now to the main topic. So the main topic, I saw this article on, was it BuzzFeed? Y'all know I be stealing their stuff because they steal from us. Yes, BuzzFeed.
All the time.
And the article says, what relationship habits do people need to quit ASAP? So we're going to go through a few of them from the article. There's like 7 or so. And then we'll talk about maybe some additional ones that we thought that weren't on the list.
Cool.
So the first one says, when a partner expects you to read their mind.
Fuck that and fuck you.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common sense.
That's one thing I tell niggas up front. I'm not a mind reader. If you don't open your mouth and let me know what's going on, I'm not going to sit here and try to make efforts to try to read between lines with your ass. You're an adult and you're not a child. I shouldn't have to guess what's wrong with you. Especially if I ask you a question and you don't want to be honest and be an adult and answer it, that's on you. I'm not going to put effort and time trying to play a fucking guessing game.
Yeah.
With your emotions.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
I kind of look at it as, if you can put my genitals in your mouth, then you should be able to tell me exactly what's on your mind. Like, you should be able to use your mouth for multiple things, not just sucking and licking and whatever else you do, you know.
Okay.
That's just my personal, I'm like, you know, if we're in a relationship, use that mouth for, you know, everything that it's there for.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I was like, well, the last time I checked, you know, there's no mutants walking around. Professor X is not rolling his ass down the street. So that is not a power that anyone possesses. So you are going to have to communicate effectively and not just sit back and think someone is going to know what you're talking about. And I think sometimes a lot of people in relationships, they expect nonverbal cues to communicate what they want to say. And we need to break the cycle. Like, just open your mouth and talk. Have a conversation. And let that be the end of it. Instead of... And I've been guilty of this in the past, and I had to realize that me slamming doors or me doing whatever I was doing that was not or did not involve me actually talking about what was bothering me, it didn't help. It didn't solve anything. It probably sprinkled a little bit of worse, you know? It was like a little shaker bottle of worse. How can I make it worse? Let me just sprinkle it right on top of the situation. So yeah, you know, we need to break that cycle of not communicating. And I feel like if you should not agree to be in a relationship with someone that you cannot communicate with. If at any time you feel like I can't say this, or I don't want to say this, or I'm scared of how they're going to react, then that is not a relationship you need to be in. If you can't communicate with your partner, somebody that you expect to be with for a long time, you know.
And if they can't communicate with you, like...
if you're not receptive, also, because that's a big one too.
There's levels to the shit.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are complicated, but you make it even more so by not opening your mouth and talking, and opening your ears and listening. And not just listening for the sake of saying, I heard you, but listening and comprehending what the person is trying to communicate. Yeah. Yeah. So the next one says, when a partner tries to make you jealous just because they're upset with you. So this kind of goes back to the last one of communication. And then add on to that, you need to have ways to work through your anger without attacking your partner. Even if they're wrong, again, you are mad and you say something out of line or you do something out of line, you're only going to make it worse. And I think this is just kind of strange. Like, this is strange manipulative behavior. Like, oh, you made me mad because you left the toilet seat up and I took a dunk, so
I'm make you jealous.
Like that, making your partner jealous should never be in your bag of tricks.
It shouldn't.
That just to me, that just makes you look like trash.
In my opinion, it's just like no matter how upset with your partner you are or how mad they make you, you should never want to act in a way that's going to bring them negative energy. And if you do want to act in that way, then you should just remove yourself from the situation. I'm just all about putting out good energy and good vibes. So even if you fuck me over, I still have to be careful of the energy that I'm putting out, because it's going to come back to me somehow, some way. And I don't have time for that. And I'm not about to pay for your sins just because I decided to stoop to a level that I know I shouldn't have been, just because you pissed me off. And if you got like do that to me, like I can't rock with somebody that will stoop to that level. Just tell me you're hurt. Just tell me you're upset, and we can talk
and we
about
can
it. But
fix it. But going out of your way to try to make your partner jealous, it's just very strange to me, and I feel like again,
it's childish, man.
It's childish, and it's kind of like a learned behavior. Like this is how you do it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Vivica, girl, What Happened to Your Face, Fox. And two can play that game. Like instead of just being like, "Yo, what's up? What's up?" Like,
okay, so I thoroughly enjoy that movie.
I love that
because
movie. I love
it's so messy.
That movie, but when you think about it and you really break it down, all the shit that she was doing, trying to make him, she was doing the same thing, trying to make him jealous, trying to control him. And it's like instead of just opening your mouth and being like, "Look, I gave you a pussy drive by. What's up?" Like, I mean, are we gonna make this a thing or what?
Because because when this happened to me, I was younger and I wasn't like fully invested in that relationship. But like now, knowing how my mindset is now, I'm gonna call your bluff. I'm gonna say go. Have fun. I guess we about to open this relationship up. Right. Have a good evening. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm not gonna give it to your shit. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. I mean, it's just if your go-to tactic in your relationship is to be manipulative, then you don't need to be in that relationship. Let that. But a big part of that is self-awareness, which most people don't have any grasp on. So,
which is crazy.
Because
I'll be talking to people and I'll be like, yeah, I'm not in a place where, I want XYZ. It's all I'm willing to give right now. And it's like, wow, that's so great that you can actually like tell people that. I'm like, unfortunately, it is great, but it should not like this should be common practice.
Yeah, it should be the norm. It shouldn't be so surprising to you. Like,
yeah, like it shouldn't be a quality. Like that's like when they were like made with all 100% white meat chicken. Like it should have always been made with 100% white meat chicken. What am I patting you on the back for? Like, don't pat me on the back for being honest and transparent, right? Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing anyway as a responsible adult.
Yes. As a responsible adult, trying to be in a healthy relationship.
Yes,
because that's important. So the next one says, when you and your partner play the blame game, instead of just taking responsibility for your actions, I agree. It can be easy to fall into the blame game because no one ever wants to be wrong. No one ever wants to admit fault, especially in a relationship, because I think a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people in relationship situations, they want to, or they fall back into, or their default is to play victim.
Yeah.
And so if I blame you and everything is your fault, then I'm the victim. So no matter what happens, I'm able to get that sympathy either from you or from outside parties. And that shit is tired. Again, it's childish, it's immature. And if you can't take responsibility for your actions, then you have a lot of work to do, and you definitely don't need to be dating or in a relationship. Like that's adulting fundamentals 101. Like, we have to be accountable for our actions and not just put it off on someone else.
I agree. And because I've only been in like one major relationship. And after that, I'm like, I don't need to go back into one anytime soon. It's not as fun as I thought.
Yeah, but that's self-awareness.
When we would have issues, like, because we had a bunch of falling outs before we even got together officially. So that was just me being young and dumb and in love and all that dumb shit. But we'll have moments where it's like, well, you did X, Y, Z. And then the response was, yeah, but because you did X, Y, Z. And it's just like, okay, we can't do this. This is not the interaction that we need. If I'm telling you this is what you did to me. I need you to take accountability for that, because at the end of the day, and like I already said, no matter what somebody does to you, you're still responsible for how you react. You're still responsible for how you decide to move on from that situation. So don't try to say I only hurt you because you hurt me. You still made a conscious decision to do that. Mm-hmm. So you can't blame me for that. That's still on you. So take accountability for your shit. And then we can discuss what I did to you that made you do that. And then we can address all that shit. But you have to take accountability. If you fuck up, you got to be able to admit that shit.
Yeah. And
just because somebody fucks up, that doesn't give you the right to fuck up in response. Just like when we were just talking about making them jealous, like, you have to be responsible with how you're moving, and make sure that you're putting out the best energy that you can. Because if not, it's going to come back at you, and you'll never be happy.
Yeah, I agree. So, the next one says, when you and your partner passive aggressively hold on to things that upset you and only bring them up during a fight. So this was a little triggering for me.
Me too. Like, a lot of these questions are triggering. That's why I'm just so.
And this wasn't even like a relationship triggering, just triggering in general, because we see this a lot. Like, people hold in so much and they wait until a specific thing happens. Mm-hmm. And then they quote unquote air out their grievances, and you're like, so you had all these problems with me all this time and you never said anything, or this is what you really think of me, And I can't imagine being with someone, and this is growth from my last situation, which relationships are overrated, but and that's not even me being bitter. Like I said, people are so unaware of themselves. But anyway.
And that leads into one of the points that I had to add on to this. So.
Okay. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh, no, we're not there yet. We'll get there.
We will. Oh, yes. So, I can't imagine being with someone and holding in so much, and then during the fight being like, oh yeah, let me pull out my book of receipts because I'm going to read your ass. Mm-hmm. It's like, it just seems, first of all, counterproductive to the relationship. It seems messy and it seems immature. I don't get holding on to these things. Like, you hold on to money. You know what I mean? You hold on. There are things that you hold on to, but negative emotions, especially towards your romantic partner, that's not something you should be holding on to. At least not in my opinion. I'm no relationship expert, but I have common fucking sense.
And that's what it is. It's common sense. And it's common sense.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of people fall into this mind trap of you have to have had, XYZ relationship experience to be able to talk about relationship. And it's like a lot,
to an extent,
a lot of true, life is just common sense. Like, I could never have been in a relationship, but common sense tells me if you get into a fight and you bringing up shit that happened 6 months ago, that's probably not healthy.
Not right.
That's not a healthy relationship on your end. It might be healthy on the other partner's end, but you are not bringing health to that relationship. That's just common fucking sense. You. I don't need to be a Yanla. I don't need to have a swoop bang to be able to tell you that doesn't make any sense. But passive aggressiveness in relationships in general is just a problem. Like,
it is. It's so easy to fall into that wormhole, though. Like, it's so easy to do, but it's so toxic.
That's why it's so important to have to be with someone that you can communicate openly with. Because if you have those open, and I mean truly open channels of, in the relationship of communication, then it makes it that much more difficult to fall into that passive aggressiveness, because it's like, I could hold on to this and be mad and not say anything, but why would I do that? Because we talk about everything. So let me just pull him aside while we sitting down over the ramen and tell him or her or them what my issue is, and we talk it out, and then we go to sleep happy, or at least content,
Right.
instead of going to bed mad and
bitter and jaded.
and bitter and jaded, being like Cardi B, and like, well, I wish I could fix your cereal with a teaspoon of bleach. That is like sidebar. That is like my favorite line on that album. That shit had me in stitches every time I hear it. I'm like, really? She said, I have resentment on repeat. I'm trying to fix your cereal with a teaspoon of bleach, and I'm gonna give it to you like bon appetit. I said, okay, that's my kind of petty. I mean, not in real relations, not for real, but musically, that's my kind of petty.
Yeah. So, I mean, my favorite line was, "It's for my nasty hoes all across the globe."
Well, I mean, that's a given. Like, I've already told y'all how I'm in here hurting my back to picking heads, so that's a given. But anyway, let's get back on track. So the next one says, when you and your partner only spend time with one another.
Dead.
This right here is what has a lot of people fucked up.
Dead. My ex-mom had no friends.
Yeah, that.
I was like, so who the fuck I'm gonna hang out with? Like,
right.
The few people that you approve of, like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like that whole, my man don't need no friends, I'm the only friend he need. Like that, honestly, that's pretty toxic.
I mean, if it worked for you, then.
I mean, if y'all genuinely are just, you happen to spend a lot of time together, that's one thing. But
if it's natural, like if y'all both homebodies and y'all never want to go nowhere, and that's y'all's thing, then okay. But trying to force that or trying to, like, it always bothers me when I'm like with my friends and they have like their tag along partners, and this is like, can you go anywhere without them? Can we hang out without them? Because I want my bro, I want my sis, I don't want the plus one.
I don't want the unit, unless you happen to be, genuine friends with both.
I mean, sometimes you do want to be around both, but sometimes you just want to kick it with your boys or your girls without their significant other around, because you know that you're not getting them in the way you want them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I think, like you said, and I see this so much, and it quickly becomes, and that's why you have to be careful, because there's a thin line between spending a lot of time with your significant other and cutting people off. Mm-hmm. And then it's even more so something that you have to be mindful of, because then it can quickly become, now you're isolated. And you have to figure out, did I do this or did my partner do this?
No, bitch, you did it. Your simple ass did it.
Well, and I say that because that is a classic sign of an abuser, isolating. Yes. And some people don't realize that that's what's happening, because they're so happy to have a boo that is, all under them. Yeah,
I was there.
But that's what I'm saying. So it does make a difference when you look at it, say, is this something that I did, like me, and without any influence, or has my partner been kind of pushing me away from my family and from my friends or people that I hang out with? Like, right. I just think it's not healthy to spend all your time with your significant other, because number one, you turning your back on people that were in your life before that person came along.
Listen.
And I'm not.
Well, people that had your back and held you down,
right? Or people that you may need at some point, or people that need you. Like, I think people have this mindset that when you get a partner, a significant other, a husband, a wife, whatever, that person is the first priority in your life besides kids. And I can agree with that to an extent, but when it becomes that person is the only priority in your life, that's where you have shit fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
like Tamar and Vince.
Yeah, where it has you to the point where people can't even say anything about you not coming around or about your relationship or your partner without you jumping down their neck, because you are so used to that person being everything to you. And it's like no other person, no matter how much you love them, no matter how long y'all been together, no other person should be your sun and your moon. Like, that because it blinds you to so much. And you see so many relationships that seem healthy and they love each other and they always doing stuff together, and you can't never get in touch with them, or you can never spend time together because they just are so in love. And then down the line you find out, yeah, but this was happening. You know, he was talking to me crazy, or he was putting his hands on me, or, you know, I was just depressed, or, you know what I mean? Like, most of the time, most of the relationships that I've seen like that, there's been some underlying shit. And that's why I say you have to be mindful of, is this my doing or is this my partner? Because again, that's it's like a classic sign of an abuser.
It is.
And it doesn't, and when I say abuser, guys, you have to understand, it's not always physical abuse.
And it's not always intentional either.
And it's not always intentional. Sometimes that's just, they think that that's how I'm supposed to love. Like, I have to be dominant in a relationship, and I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I have to make this person fall in line. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism.
It is. And it sucks when it's hard to call out those behaviors, because when they're not intentionally trying to be abusive, or they're not intentionally trying to be in control of you. That's just what they think they're supposed to do. And when you call it out as abusive behavior, but they're like, I'm not abusive, but they can't wrap their mind around the fact that their behavior is abusive.
Right.
And it's hard to break that wall sometimes.
Yeah. Because it could be, and there's a little nuance there. Maybe the person is not an exact abuser, but what is happening is abusive to you.
Right. That's what I mean.
So yeah, it's just something to be mindful of, spending all of your time with your significant other. Like, you definitely have to. I mean, I don't even know. Honestly, I'm thinking about it. I don't even know how you do that, because even as a person that doesn't really care for people, I still need some variety. Like, I still want to talk to my friends. I still want to see my friends and people that know me and that I can talk to. Not saying that I couldn't talk to my partner, but sometimes you just want something different. I can't imagine just all of my time with my partner. I mean, me personally, that shit would get on my nerves. I am team separate houses. Like, that's, we don't need,
or same house, separate rooms.
Separate, I don't even know separate rooms, because it's like, I still know that you're there.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Like, maybe if it's a house like with wings, and then I could be like, listen, I'm in the east wing, you in the west wing, we can come together, we can have sleepovers in each other's wings, but at the end of the day, you need to go back to your side of the house. Like, I could do that, but like, it'd be like, okay, we got, 2-3 bedrooms, and they're like, okay, I'm in another room, but I'm like, I can hear you clinking and clanking in the kitchen. That's still gonna drive me bananas. Team separate homes. Love can extend to 2 addresses. Okay. Anyway, let's finish this up. At least from the article, the last one says, when you snoop through each other's social media in order to figure out if you can really trust each other or not. Listen, if this is your relationship, throw the whole relationship away. Okay?
Yeah.
This is excessive. I mean, if you feel like you can't trust the person, you don't need to be in that relationship. And that's really the end of it to me. Like, I'm not snooping through shit. I'm not looking through your social media. I'm not looking through your phone. I'm not looking through your email, your computer, none of that shit. If I feel like I can't trust you, I'm going to address it. And if you don't reassure me after I brought it to you, then I don't need to be in this relationship. And that's really the end of it to me.
Yeah.
That's so much wasted energy going through people's social media and be like, oh, you like this bitch pic. What's up? It's like,
are you serious? Like, are you that bored?
Are you that bored? Are you that insecure? But again, it's self-awareness, because a lot of times that I don't trust my partner, I need to go through their social media specifically. It usually doesn't have anything to do with the partner and has everything to do with you doing the snooping. Because like a lot of times you see stories of that, and it's like, oh, he's a flirty type, and it's like, but you knew that when you got into this relationship. So if you knew that that was going to bother you, or if you had any inclination, even in the back of your spirit, told you, I don't really like the way he be flirting online or the way he talking in people's comments, then that was a red flag that you ignored.
Mm. And this is because I've been in this situation too where I've gone through somebody's stuff. But I had reason.
Phone last night.
Hey, it wasn't even that. Okay, so I had looked over and I caught notice of who he was texting.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But in that dynamic, and I don't want to keep saying, because we had a lot of good stuff too. It was just a lot of unhealthy dynamics that we had between us, that it was either his way or mine. It was no meeting in the middle. But I knew if I would have brought that up, it would have been an argument. So I'm like, well, I need to know what's going on. So let me check and see. And of course, I read the thread. It made me more uncomfortable. And then when I did end up bringing it up, he got mad at me for looking at his phone while he was texting and then going and looking at the messages. And he never really addressed the actual issue until much later.
Indeed.
After we hadn't talked in like a week and I slept on the couch.
Yikes.
Exactly.
Yikes. I mean, yeah. Hey, I can relate. You know, like I said, I learned a lot from my last relationship. Just not communicating effectively and not knowing how to handle my partner not communicating effectively or not being receptive to the things that I say, or having it in their head that things are a certain way and nothing you can say or do is going to convince me otherwise. Like, there's a lot that goes into relationships. That's why, again, like just knowing yourself is so important.
Yeah. And being able to communicate that is important too. And I feel like so often we're kind of blinded by what we're conditioned to believe when it comes to relationships and how it's supposed to be this main goal that everybody have, and your life ain't shit, and if you don't end up in one. So we're like always striving for these relationships with no tools to navigate them properly.
Right.
Because everybody is always, when you gonna get a girlfriend? When you gonna get a boyfriend? You got any friends? But nobody's saying, hey, this is how you should navigate this issue.
Right.
No one is
saying, are you healthy enough to be
exactly
in a relationship?
Nobody is asking those questions. Do you know who you are?
Right. Because people are conditioned to feel sorry for you if you're single. Like, I don't know why still in 2018 people look at people being single as something that's bad, and it's sad you don't have a partner. And it's like, maybe I don't want one. Maybe I'm going through some things. And maybe I need to grow as an individual and know myself better before I get into a relationship. You know what I mean? And it's usually, not to be shady, but it's usually people who are in shitty relationships to some extent that are trying to push other people into relationships. And it's like, why, sis? Work on your own shit.
Listen,
sweeping your own house.
Me and her don't see eye and eye all the time, but one thing Whoopi Goldberg said that I can always relate to is I don't want somebody in my house.
That is my theme. Like, I don't. And I knew myself well enough that I said, it's not, in addition to not wanting anybody in my house, like, I'm not in a place where I even want to be accommodating to another person. So that's why
that's it.
I don't date.
That's exactly what it is. Because I mess around, but I don't date.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even mess around because I'll be like, I don't know. I'll be out here on some bullshit. But, I'm like, I don't want to be accommodating to another person. And that's just where I am right now. It's not, I doubt that it's going to be permanent. Someone probably is going to show up and be like,
And if it
hey,
is permanent, so the fuck
I
what?
mean,
Live your
yeah,
best life.
a relationship is not it's not a life goal for me.
Exactly, and I feel like we grow up with this mindset that it's supposed to be, and that's actually one of my habits that I think people should quit is the the glamorization of relationships. Because granted, they're great and they're beautiful and they're amazing, but they're also work. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes.
And people try to make it seem like, oh, it shouldn't be work, but it's still, you're
It's
still
work. It
working with
doesn't matter
somebody.
how in love you are. It's still work.
You're two human beings with two completely different experiences and narratives that define who you are and dictate how you move in this world. So it's always going to be work, understanding each other, and growing with each other. Like, it's a lot. Communication, transparency, honesty, being responsible for somebody else's emotions.
Yeah.
That's work. That takes time, and that takes consideration. That takes sacrifice. That takes commitment that at this time in my life, I don't feel like making. So I'm not going to.
And that is not only fair to you, but it's fair to any potential partners.
Hmm. And it's like, and I'll tell them, I'm like, I'll hurt you. And they're like, I don't think that's true. I'm like, bruh,
I'm telling you my truth. Accept my truth, beloved.
I know, from what we've talked about, I know what you want and need, and I know I ain't that nigga that's gonna give it to you.
Yeah. And it's funny how sometimes people cannot accept your truth. They can't accept you where you are. Like, no, it's like, I like you so much and I know you would be. It's like, I'm telling you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm laying it out for you. So since we've moved into additional relationship or dating habits that we think people should quit outside of the article, I saw something on Instagram, so I made that as one of mine. And basically, it's thinking you're in a relationship with someone without actually making a mutual decision to be in the relationship with the person.
I am that nigga that will say, hey, so how are you feeling? What are we doing?
Right.
Let's cut this shit. Like,
Yeah, because a lot of
let's,
people are single, but they think they're in a relationship, and it's like, okay, but does the other
and
person
vice
know that?
versa.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Tragic.
I agree. Being in a relationship and thinking and moving and acting like you're single, also something that is a habit that you should get rid of.
Like, and I tell people all the time, like, all I expect from you is to be honest with me and keep it real. I'm a grown ass man. I can handle the truth as long as you let me know what the truth is.
Yes,
That's
yes,
all I need, the truth. I need honesty, and that's all I require from you. If I ask you a question or if something comes up, tell me the truth.
tell me the truth.
And that's all I need. Like,
Yeah,
I can handle whatever it is. Just let me know. I wouldn't
yeah,
ask if I can handle it.
exactly. A huge one that I came up with is thinking you're entitled to or you own a person because you're in a relationship. And that kind of goes back to some of the points that we made earlier, but I wanted to be very clear on that. Because there's a lot of people that get into relationships and it's like, this is my property.
And I hate that.
Yeah, that shit is
I hate that
awful.
so much.
It's awful. Like, you don't get to own a person just because y'all decided that we're going to be in a relationship. And again,
And I don't own you.
And yeah, and it lends itself to, again, maybe not necessarily being an abuser, but abusive things happening. Because when you feel like you own someone, you feel like you can do whatever and say whatever, and you don't have to be held accountable for that. Like, we see a lot of examples of that, of, heterosexual relationships, when, men yelling at their women in public and vice versa. And it's just like, why do you think you can do these things? Why do you think I've seen stuff in movies where it's like, telling their partner, you need to be home at a certain time. And it's like, is this not an adult? Like, what's going on? Like, I get it. If I expect you home at a certain time and then you're not home, I'm worried something might happen. But
Right.
that's different than, you better be home by this time or there's going to be hell to pay. You know what I mean? Like, giving your partner a curfew, basically. Like, thinking it manifests itself in so many different ways when you think that you own a person because you're in a relationship. And a lot a lot of people are guilty of this. Some of them probably don't even realize it, but a lot of them do.
And I can't operate under that. I don't like being controlled. I don't like people trying to control me. I don't like possessiveness. I don't like niggas being territorial. Like, all that bothers me to the core.
I agree.
And it makes me very uneasy and very uncomfortable to the point where I don't even like when niggas joke about it, because it's like, you may be serious, you may not be. So just to be on the safe side, let's not even play like that, because it makes me very uncomfortable. I don't want to be your property. I don't want to be seen as something that you own or something that belongs to you. And further the fuck more, I'm the one that put in the work to get myself to where I am now. I own this whole vessel, the inside and the out. You don't own shit. I'm just sharing it with you.
Exactly.
And I don't own you. You're just sharing yourself with me. I don't want to own you, and I don't want to be owned. I don't like, oh, you're mine. Like, I'm your boyfriend, yes, but I am not yours. It's a difference.
Yeah, I'm your partner. I'm not your possession. I'm not your property. Yeah. Another one that I had was, and I've talked about this before on the show, probably multiple times, but not discussing the type of relationship you expect to be in prior to entering the relationship. Like, it's a bad and I say that's a bad habit because most people have more than one relationship in their life, and it's a bad habit that a lot of people go into relationships and they automatically assume it's going to be monogamous, it's going to be X, it's going to be Y, it's going to be Z. And you really need to discuss those things up front. Be like, I expect, like, we are a monogamous couple. I expect us to be a monogamous couple. If that's not what you are willing to give, then we don't need to enter into this relationship. Like, we have to stop letting lust and love and like and infatuation stop us from asking important questions and making important distinctions, because a lot of times if you just ask those questions and have those conversations, those red flags will appear and you'll be like, you know what, this might not be something that I need to get into.
Right. And my thing is, like, I like to have those kind of conversations very early. Exactly. I don't like to wait. I like to get that shit out the way as early as possible. And it's like, you have to explain, like, okay, I'm not asking this or saying this because I want something specific from you right now. I'm asking so that we can be on the same page, so that we don't waste our time.
So we don't waste each other's motherfucking time.
Truth be told, we can be the best of friends, and that might be where we need to be.
Yeah.
So I would rather have this conversation now, early on, before there's any emotional attachment, before you start getting the toothbrush in my house and getting the before all that shit. Let's talk about this serious stuff right now that'll determine how we're going to proceed. Because I'm not going to waste time trying to be your lover when I'm supposed to just be your friend.
Yeah. Agreed. And, just to reiterate, it doesn't necessarily need to be, okay, we are at the do or die point. Either we're going to be in a relationship or not. So now we're going to talk about everything. Like, no, that definitely will throw off the dynamic. It needs to be a little bit more organic, but it should be things that you discuss in the course of dating. Like, that person should know whether or not you want to be in a monogamous relationship, whether you want to be in a polyamorous situation, etc., etc. Like, that shouldn't be news to them when it gets to relationship time or relationship decision time. So the last thing I had was not being honest about important things with your partner. And I was watching something. What was it? I think I was watching something on Investigation Discovery, which y'all know that shit there. But it was it Deadly Women? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, there was a couple and they got married, and it wasn't until after they got married and the lady went into it with no debt at all. Like, she had paid off her house, everything. And she didn't find out until years into the marriage that her husband had a gambling problem and a shitload of debt. And that just stood out to me so clearly. I mean, she ended up killing him. So now that's extreme. But my point is, there's a lot of situations like that where people are not honest about huge things in their life, like debt. I was listening to the Friend Zone. That was what made me reminded me of this, in the Budgetnista episode, and she was talking.
Oh, that was an amazing episode.
It was, but it stood out to me, and it reminded me of that episode that I saw on Investigation Discovery when she was talking about debt, and they were like, yeah, because you have to be mindful of the debt you take on that your partner brings to a relationship, and it's not just debt. There's other things, I mean, we could go different ways, like hiding children, assets, just mental illnesses. Like, there's so many things that people are dishonest about, and sometimes, depending on what it is, not saying anything, not sharing, like that willful omission is still a form of dishonesty.
It is.
Like, if you're sharing your life with someone, you expect them to be there for you through the thick and thin, but you're not telling them that you have $100,000 in debt, or that you have a gambling problem, or that you are battling bipolar disorder. Like, there's so many, and those are just three that stood out to me. But
right,
it could be a number of things that people go into relationships and it's like, oh, it's not important, or I don't need to share this, or the person's not going to want to love me anymore because I'm honest with. And it's like, this is a situation where you make it worse, because eventually the truth will come out, and more than likely because you were trying to hide it, that means you're unprepared for whatever reaction that you get, because you never were going to go into it being honest to begin with. You thought you could get away with that dishonesty.
Right. You can't carry negative energy into a situation and expect to get positivity out of it. It just doesn't make no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you have any other habits?
Yeah, and it's two, and
okay.
I don't know. For one of them is, I feel like too often we allow tradition to dictate the parameters of our relationships.
Yes, and in the LGBT community, Jesus. That hormone, I can't talk tonight. That heteronormativity,
yes,
is what I was trying to say.
I mean, even if you want to take it to like monogamy versus polyamory, I just feel like too often we end up in these romantic situations, and what we want and how we navigate it is solely based off what we've learned and what we've been conditioned to feel, and off of tradition, and not so much us doing it because that's what we genuinely want to do. Just like I feel like a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm supposed to get married, so they rush into getting married, and it's just like, I'm not the marrying type, or
the person that I'm married to is not who I'm supposed to be married to.
Exactly. Like, I just feel like we should all be able to define our own path when it comes to romance and do what makes us happy. And for some people, that is going to be what falls in line with tradition, and that's completely okay. But I just feel like we do often limit ourselves to the traditional viewpoint of a romantic relationship, when sometimes we don't fit that dynamic. Yeah. And the other point I wanted to make is just stop comparing your relationship to other people, or stop saying you want a relationship like somebody else's.
Relationship goals, that shit is not healthy. I'm sorry, it's just not.
It's cute.
It's cute,
but it's wrong
for Instagram, but that is not something you should.
It's cute, but
be
it's wrong.
Serious about.
You remember that from what's that? Two Stupid Dogs. It's cute, but it's wrong. Just stop doing that, because you're your own person. Your partner or your partners are their own people. You're not going to have the same dynamic as these two other completely different individuals with completely different narratives and experiences that dictate how they navigate life. You can't do that, and you're taken away from the uniqueness and the specialness of your relationship when you're too busy trying to emulate somebody else's, or trying to have a relationship like your parents because they were together for 52 years, or like your grandparents, they were together for 82 years. No, have your relationship with your partner and let that be yours, and don't compare it to any other one, because no relationship is worth or less any more than your, like, Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with both of those. And I guess you guys, if you have any relationship habits that you feel like people need to stop and you want to share them with us, feel free to send those ads.
Oh, last one. And we kind of touched on it, but I just want to make it clear. Stop thinking that you can't get relationship advice from single people. Sometimes it's the best person to learn from are the people that got burnt the worst.
Or, I mean, you have to be mindful of the single people that you're getting relationship advice from, but you also have to be mindful of the people in relationships. Yeah. But I mean, I would say go for the people with common sense, whether they're single or not. Those are the people you need to get advice from. People that have some level of objectivity, and go from there. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And like when people are like, well, I think you should talk to them and well, how you going to tell me how to be in a relationship with you? I'm just telling you common sense. I'm telling you to communicate.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't have to have been in a relationship to know that communication is important and that you're lacking in that field, man.
Yeah. Just makes sense. So I think that's going to wrap up the main topic. So you guys, we're going to get into my favorite segment, and that is the queer query. Question. So let's go through these questions, and then we're going to wrap this show right the hell on up.
Cool.
First question. What would your dream job in music be? And I chose this question specifically for you.
Damn. I mean, my dream job would be a singer, but that's never going to happen because I sound like a dying giraffe giving birth.
Well.
But I think I would love to be in production. I'm definitely falling in love with editing these podcasts and trying to make stuff. So either that or like 106 and Park type stuff, but like good. Just like hosting and stuff.
Yeah. I think my dream job in music would be, because I don't know if I can handle the pressures of being an artist, but I think being a producer and or a songwriter. Like a good example would be Claude Kelly.
Yes.
Before they formed Louis York.
Louis York. Either before and after, it's all love and respect.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
man.
Specifically for me, like,
And I'm just saying I love them.
Oh yeah,
and
I love them. But yeah, definitely behind the scenes, like a producer or something, because I don't necessarily need the fame. I mean, with the producer, if you're good at what you do, you're kind of going to get that notoriety anyway, because just the culture that we're in, or I mean, that's kind of how music has been for a long time, for a couple of decades, is that who did the beat, who did the melody, who did the vocal production, that stuff is just as important as who's performing. So, I could see in a perfect world being, a Timbaland or being like a Diane Warren, being like, oh, you need a ballad? I got you.
Yes.
Let me
Diane
get my
Warren,
pen and paper.
Legend.
Let me get my pen and paper. What am I
You
saying?
just can't talk tonight.
I cannot speak.
Retrograde got you all fucked up.
Well, maybe when's the last time I ate? I don't know. Okay, next question. How do you keep yourself motivated towards goals or just in general?
I invest resources into things.
Okay.
So even when I don't feel like going, it's like, well, I am paying for this gym membership. I did buy this expensive ass yoga mat that Fran suggested. So let me at least put this money to use. So that's one way. Another way, and I've been slacking on it lately, is just trying to make sure I stay in a good mental headspace. Trying to manage, like, I don't have like clinical depression or anxiety, but I do have issues with depression and anxiety to the point where he threatened to put me on pills if I didn't get my shit together.
Oh my.
Yeah. So just managing that and not overworking myself, knowing when to take a break and relax and take a step back from work. And working out also helps just keep me focused on other things too. Whatever other aggression or whatever, I just take it out during my workout, and during the rest of the day, I'm a little bit more clear-headed, so I can focus better. So it's a lot, but a lot of it just pertains to me keeping myself in good working form and in a clear headspace. And once I'm in a good headspace, almost everything else is pretty easy to do.
Okay. That's fair. I'm gonna be completely honest and transparent because know thyself. I honestly haven't quite figured this out. Outside of things that I feel like I absolutely have to get done, and knowing that I don't really have anyone to fall back on, like family is a motivator, but just everyday motivation, it comes in waves, and I haven't figured out my specific cheat code because something that a lot of people don't want to admit, and they go to a lot of these gurus, and everything doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And for me, because I know myself well enough, I specifically have to uncover what works for me. Like, even if someone tells me I think this would work for you, I have to discover it on my own in some way.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's just how I operate. It's how I connect to things, like my own particular way of doing things. So I'm still working on it, guys. And that's just life. That's part of adulting. It sucks, but it is what it is. Okay, next question. Would you rather be able to do magic, like, Charmed or Harry Potter or something like that, or would you rather have amazingly advanced technology, like stuff we see in Black Mirror or the Wakandan technology?
I would rather have magic, because if I have magic, then white people can't limit it. But if it's like a matter of material stuff, it's going to be harder for my black ass to get that technology. So give me the magic for 500, Alex.
Do you believe in magic? And I hope you do. This was hard for me because I love like sci-fi and all that kind of shit, magic and mutant powers and all that. But I actually chose technology, and that's because I feel like it's the smarter choice to set future generations up to lead good lives. And there's less likely a chance of being ostracized by non-magic people.
Oh, fuck that. We can have our own world like they did. My concern with the technology is, like I said, access to the technology. Who's getting it? Is it going to be available to people in Compton?
Yeah.
Is it going to be available to people in Southeast Berry Farm? So that's not that no more. Like,
yeah, that's fair. And see, my thing with magic was, it doesn't matter, because prejudices are still going to be a thing. And it ain't shit for them to get together and be like, oh, you got magic? Well, we just, we got a tank. We're going to shoot you.
Right.
Salem witch trials and all that.
At least you're on an even playing field when it comes to the magic. Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. It's just you can get into the nuances, but
yeah, that's me.
Right.
I'm an Aquarius by nature. As I start thinking, then go down a rabbit hole, and this is like, been there for 12 hours. So I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Bonus question.
Ooh.
If you were a mutant, what power or powers would you wish you had? Because you don't really get to, with mutant lore, you don't really get to choose your powers.
Right.
But let's say you did have the opportunity to choose your powers, what would you choose?
I would probably choose teleportation.
Come on, Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it'll be teleportation, mainly because it's easy. Like, I can teleport to and from Miami. Like, I can teleport to Miami, have fun all day, and then teleport my ass back home. I got to spend no flight, no hotel, no incidentals hold, no facilities fee, no gas, no baggage fee, no car rental, none of that.
Okay, come on, specifics.
A nice vacation for free. Well, not for free, because I'm gonna have to, get drinks and shit there, but
for a significantly
No travel
less
and lodging,
amount.
bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like it'll be so convenient for work. Like
Yeah.
it's just like bam, I can
I'm
leave at the last
here.
minute. Like it's so perfect. So
Yeah.
it'll probably be teleportation.
Okay. I chose telekinesis because I'm lazy.
Mm.
And it's like bring me things with my mind. And, I feel like if you know, if you're good at it, then you probably could fly. You can make yourself fly too. So I chose telekinesis. I can be like, bitch, move. And they will move because I have the power to make that ass move. So yeah, I think that, you guys, is going to wrap up this episode of Gayside Stories. Huey, I want to give a huge thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a long time coming, man. I'm happy to be here.
Definitely, definitely. So, before we get out of here, let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can hit me up on the Twitter at Baeby Huey. That's BAEBYHUEY. And on Instagram, I'm trying to be back on there a little bit more. It's Baby_Huey 2.0.
Upgrade?
Well, no, because the first Baby Huey account I had deleted a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So when I got back on Instagram a few years ago, it was just 2.0.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that. And then you can catch Aquemini Jamz every Saturday at 12 on listenvisionlive.com. Follow the Twitter at Aquemini Jamz with a Z. Follow Boys Love Beyonce on Twitter at Boys Love B. Yeah.
Yeah. So follow those things and support the things that my man here is doing. In the meantime, you guys can go to GaysideStories.com for more information. You can interact with me via email at GaysideStories@gmail.com. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/GaysideStories. And also the Facebook group #GaysidePod. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at GaysideStories. Make sure you guys are subscribed wherever you get your podcast. If you're not already, if you're new and you're just trying it out and you like it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button or whatever it says in your particular app. And if you like what I'm doing, take a little bit of time to leave a rating and a review wherever you can. Specifically, if you would be so inclined to do it on Apple Podcasts, because you guys know this. If you listen to podcasts, you hear this every week on everybody's podcast. The reason why is because it is important that we have ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. It's the biggest podcast platform, even if the app is absolute trash after the iOS 11 update. It's just not that girl anymore. At least to me. I mean, if you like it, then
I don't know. I've been on Android for a year now. I know the new developments are.
Oh, well, I didn't mean you specifically, but
I know. I was just saying, like, I
mean, yeah, if you're on Android,
I don't know this struggle. Over there, you have what did she say?
Apple Podcasts.
No, what did she say on Got to Be Real?
Oh, I'm bad.
I can't remember it.
I'm bad with
Me
quotes.
too.
And last but not least, make sure you guys are sharing this podcast with others. That is how we grow. That's how we get the word out. I appreciate all of my guests who retweet to their audiences and bring more people in. It really it makes me so happy. I just feel so good inside. And that is it, you guys. Also, one last thing I forgot. Check out the Sounds of the Stories playlist. I am going to try to update that more and have my friend Naj update that as well. I just added the Fuck Nigga Free track to it because that is the motherfucking jam. In addition to Cardi's album Fuck Nigga Free, and I guess I'm not 100% on board with Nice for What, but if you are, that's great. And I feel like all three of those things will ride you right through summer 2018 and have you out here like the baddest bitch that you were meant to be. So, with that being said, thank you again for listening. Remember the lost commandment, thou shalt protect thy walls, or they will crumble and you will be out here just passed out. And we are done with this episode. We are out of here. Bye, you guys.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for having me again, man. I appreciate it.